Masechet Yevamot Daf 79A1. The Gemara spoke about that there were two different reasons why they were punished. One reason why they were punished with the hunger was because they didn't give Shaul a proper eulogy. And the second reason was because he killed the Givonim. How did he kill the Givonim? He didn't kill the Givonim. Really, he killed the Novi Rakwanim. But since the Givonim would support Novi Rakwanim, which means their financial support was giving food and water to Novi Rakwanim. If you killed out Novi Rakwanim, now you ultimately also killed the Givonim. So says the Gemara, 1 second, but it already passed 12 months. If it already passed 12 months from the death of Shaul, how you don't kill him today? You're not going to start giving him a sped after 12 months after he passed away. The Netanim, however, though, to do with the Netanim, they went and they appeased them. Immediately it says, they went and they wanted to appease the Givonim that at the end of the day, they should forgive. So the Givonim came and they told David Melech, right? They said, well, we don't have gold, silver, we can't kill anyone. Which means, how are we going to come and ask Shaul for kesef zahav only on people that they die? So we can't kill anyone. So he says, if you give us 7 of his children, we're going to kill them. And then he tried to be mefayes otam, it didn't work. Meaning David Melech came and he tried to be mefayes otam, but it didn't work. It didn't work trying to be mefayes otam. Okay? So shlosha simanim yesh b'mazu. So then comes David and he says, 1 second. There are 3 simanim, right, in this ummah. What does it mean in this ummah? In Am Yisrael, there's going to be 3 different simanim. What are the simanim? Rachmanim, Baishanim, Gomle Chasadim. People that have mercy. People that have busha. People that are Gomle Chasadim. Rachmanim dichtiv. How do we know? Rachamim b'yitzrach Baishanim dichtiv. What's it about? Yatol penechem. Gomle Chasadim dichtiv. Leman Hashem tzava b'nav v'beto. Kol sheyesh po 3 simanim halalu ra'ui lidavek be'umah. It says anybody that has these 3 simanim, you should get married to them. Why? You know that they are kosher to Kal Yisrael. So immediately David HaMelech went and immediately sit down them. They're not allowed to come to Bnei Yisrael. Let me think about it. At the beginning, David HaMelech tried appeasing them. Why? Because it was considered that we killed them. Why did we kill? It wasn't us, it was Shaul. But why did Shaul kill them? But since he killed Nov Irakwani, and Nov Irakwani was their life support, which that's how they got their parnasah. So therefore it's as if that he killed them. So he tried to be mefayes with them. They wanted to come and kill 7 of his children. David tried to appease them. It didn't work. So he comes and he says for sure that these people are not fitting for Klal Yisrael. And therefore he made a decree that they're not allowed to get married into Klal Yisrael. Okay, next. ויקח המלך את 2 בני רצפה בתיה של ילדה לשאול כרמוני ומפיבוש ו5 בני מיכל בת שאול אשר ילדה לאדריאל בן ברזילי מפולתי. ויתנם ביד הגבעונים ויקום בהר לפני השם. So then what happened? David, he had to give it. So what did he do? He took the 2 children of Ritzpah Bataya, which Shaul had, and Armonia Mephibosheth, and 5 of the children of Michal Bat Shaul that she had with Adriel ben Barzilai, and they went and they killed them. Right? So therefore the Givonim went and they killed these people, and then Kilu they were appeased. So it says the Gemara, Maishnahan. Why did he decide these 7? Meaning out of all the generations of, why did he decide of these 7 exactly? So he comes and he says, Ravuna says, Hevirum lifnei Aaron. He put them in front of the Aaron. Kol sha'aron kolto lemitah. Anytime that the Aaron would come and it was for mitah. Kol sha'aron kolto lechaim. So then he was going to live. So therefore they made a test, right? They made a test with what? They made a test with the Aaron. And by making the test with the Aaron, that's it. So basically, it was kalatoto, that's it was limitat, not it was lechaim. So Mati Rav Chana bar Katina asked Rav Chana bar Katina, Vayachmol HaMelech al Mephibosheth ben Yonatan ben Shaul. So now, do you know that the king, David HaMelech, he had mercy on Yonatan, Mephibosheth ben Yonatan ben Shaul, and therefore he didn't give him over. Now, 1 second, if it was Talui Ba'aron, so Mazda Kashur Akshav that, he didn't, at the end of the day, he had to give him over. If it was Aaron that was making the decision, what do we care now that he had mercy on? Remember, he loved Yonatan. In a sense, so since he loved Yonatan so much, why exactly? What's going on? Says the Gemara, he purposely didn't take him in front of the Aaron in order to save him. Because if he would have taken him in front of the Aron, then he would have been obligated to give him over. So therefore, he purposely didn't take him in front of the Aron, so that way he could save him. So ask the Gemara, I don't understand you. Is there Masof Panim that you could come and start doing these tricks in order not to get them killed? Ella, but rather, he says, no. Really, he put him in front of the Aron, and the Aron was kalatoto. What does that mean? To get killed. The Elmaleh started asking for mercy, and then, right, upalto. Then afterwards, what happened is that it saved them. So says the Gemara, but still, is there Masof Panim in this? At the end of the day, why? So he says, he prayed that the Aron should not take him. So therefore, that's what he did. So says the Gemara, 1 second. How are the children of Shaul going to be killed? Yeah, how are the children of Shaul going to come and going to be killed? Yeah, he says, at the end of the day, it's written, what does that mean? Right? That the children should not be killed for their father's sin. Here, the children are being killed for the father's sin. So what are you doing then? Yeah? So he comes and he says, Yochanan says, right? He says, it's better that ot achad should come and be uprooted from the Torah, and it shouldn't be Hashem Shamayim Miparesia, which means, right, at the end of the day, right, if they weren't going to kill the Bnei Shaul, then the Goyim are going to say, look at these Jews. They come, right, they took the Parnasah from these Goyim, right, from these Gerim, right, and then they didn't care. So because that was a Chilul Hashem, people are going to say, look, these people, they converted. And even after conversion, right, it was taken away their food, and they didn't care. They didn't even do anything. So therefore, in order to get out of the Chilul Hashem, he had to come and he had to kill the children of Shaul. Obviously, he gave them over to them, and they were the ones that did the killing, but he had to do this. Okay? So he says he took Ritzpa Bataya, the sackcloth, and he put it by the Tzur Mitfilat, Katzira, Bitach, Maim Alehem Min Hashemayim, which means at the beginning, right, they were going to die. It says over here, until Yemota Geshamim, which is from Nisan to Tishri, right? Bnei Shaul were hung, and they weren't able to be buried, which means usually we have halakha, they have to be buried the same day. Here, it comes out that they were actually killed, and they weren't buried from Nisan until Tishri, right? Why? Because this is what the Givonim decided. And David HaMelech just gave it to them so he could just appease them. So says the Gemara, he comes and he says, he says, yeah, but 1 second, there's an Isur Doraita. What does that mean? At the end of the day, they had to do it immediately. So Rabbi Yochanan Mishum B'Shimon ben Sadak says Rabbi Yochanan Nimel B'Shimon ben Sadak, Mutar shete'aker otach min haTorah v'kadesh shem shamayim lefanecha. It's better to make Kiddush Hashem, and even though you're going to have to come and annul something from the Torah. Which means, again, why? Because the people you say, what are these things? What are these people? Why are they hung here? These are the children of kings. What did they do? They went and they put their hands in the gerim, which are not mikablim. So this is the princes. The princes, this is what they did, and they got punished so much. Right? If this is done on the Gerim, he says, so imagine what's going to happen on Bnei Yisrael themselves, not on the Ger. There was 150,000 Gerim that because of this Kiddush Hashem, they joined Am Yisrael. So therefore, David HaMelech comes and he says, even though technically speaking, mitzad halacha it's asur, because once they hung them, we have to bury them the same day. Comes, he says it's better to be ta'aker otacha min haTorah than to be kiddush shamayim miparesia. Shneimar beseder pasuk, vayhi lishlomo 70,000 choseh sabal u80,000 choseh bahar. It was on the Shlomo Melech that he had 70,000 choseh sabal, sabalim. I don't know how you say that in English. Yeah, herds, porters. Okay, porters. No, shepherds. Yeah, he comes and he says, and 80,000 choseh bahar and 80,000. Right, we're going to say the mountain pitchers. I don't know how you want to call them exactly. People that they come and they start digging the mountains. Okay, so says the Gemara, the Dilma Yisrael. Maybe these 150 were Bnei Yisrael. They weren't Gerim, right? But here it's mashma. These 150,000 were Gerim. Says maybe they were Bnei Yisrael. So he says, looks like that. No, we're not going to say that. It says in the pasuk, Bnei Yisrael lo natan Shlomo aved. Shlomo Melech didn't give any work to a Jew. He only gave them to the other people. So he gave them to the converts and to the goyim. So says the Gemara, "V'dilma dog zar be'am." He says maybe they weren't avadim. Maybe these people were schirim. Schirim means that he paid them per hour, right? So therefore, maybe they were Jews. Elmaleh, but rather there's another pasuk. V'yispor Shlomo kol ha'anashim hagerim asher be'eretz Yisrael. Yimatzu 150,000, ויעשו 70,000 נוסס הבעל ו80,000 חוץ בהר. So it's mefurash, he found 150,000 converts, and therefore he made 70,000 sabalim and 80,000 chutz bahar. So it's mefurash that what? That he took 150,000 gerim. So remember, these gerim were the fact that they saw that they exacted retribution against the children of Shaul for the fact that he killed out Novi, Rakohanim, and Mila. A lot of them died out because they didn't have any sustenance after that. So says the Gemara, David says what? And David was the one that made the decree against him? Moshe Gazar. What are you talking about? It was Moshe Rabbeinu. Where are you going to David? The distance between David and Moshe is many years. So what's going on? Tichtiv, as it says in the pasuk, Mechotev etzecha ad shoev emecha. Yeah, what does that mean? From the ones which are the wood carriers, right? The ones ad shoev emecha, the ones which are carrying your water carriers. So he says, no, Moshe Gazar and Yahud Dara. Moshe Rabbeinu, he did that generation. David Gazar lekule Dara, but David went and he did for generations to come. Meaning, if it was only Moshe Rabbeinu, it's true. Moshe Rabbeinu did make a decree on the Netinim, but it was only for that generation. But then after that generation, they were permitted to come to Klal Yisrael. David HaMelech was the one that said, no, from now on to the future. Continue on. The Netinim, these are... That's the Gemara, V'akati Yoshua Gazar Enayim. So 1 second, but maybe Yoshua was the one that made the decree against him. Not, okay, it wasn't Moshe, because Moshe was only for that generation, but it wasn't David either, it was Yoshua. Why does it say that he made this decree that Yoshua placed them to be chotve etzim v'shoavei mayim? So answers the Gemara, Yoshua gazar bizman she'emet sheyam. David gazar av bizman she'emet sheyam. Yoshua bin Nun made the decree that as long as there's a better mikdash, they're never allowed to come into Klal Yisrael. That means one more time. Moshe Rabbeinu came and he made the decree only for that generation. Yoshua added on that as long as it's going to be a better mikdash, they're not allowed to come into Am Yisrael. David HaMelech came and he added on from Bizman She'emet onwards that also they were never allowed to come into Am Yisrael. Okay? Ayin Tet Amud Bet 79b. Bimer Rebbe Bikshu La'atir Netinim. During the days of Rebbe, they wanted to permit the Netinim, right? That they were going to be permitted from their subjugation and therefore they would be permitted to come into Israel. Amar Lahem Rebbe says, Chelkenu Natir, Chelek Mizbeach Niyatir. 1 second. Hefkel betin hefkel, we could come and we could be mafkir, the entire concept of chelek of Israel. What does that mean? That now they're not going to be anymore as our slaves, right? But who's going to come and be matir, the chelek of the mizbeach, which is the chelek of Kadosh Baruch Hu, that they could come and they could come into Klal Yisrael. So it says the Gemara, Pliga, this argues that even when there's no Bet HaMikdash Kayam, it's going to be prohibited until Betin are going to come and permit it. So therefore, he says it's going to be permitted after there's not going to be a Bet HaMikdash, right? Even without a Betin coming and permitting it. So it comes out that it's actually going to be a machloka between Rochia Bar Abba and Rabbi. According to Rochia Bar Abba, once the Bet HaMikdash is gone, you don't have to do it anything else. They're going to become permitted automatically. But according to Rabbi, we are not allowed to permit such a thing. Says the Mishnah, Ayin Tet Amud Bet 79b, Mishnah. Matniti. Amar Rabbi Yoshua, says Rabbi Yoshua, Shamati, I heard from my rabbi, Saris, that a person that's Saris, remember Saris is a person that is sterile. Choletz v'chotzin li'ishto. He could do chalitza, and they do chalitza to his wife. Meaning that if he dies without children, they do chalitza to his wife. And also, he's allowed to do chalitza himself. Okay? Vesaris lo choletz lo chotzin li'ishto. Right? But then I heard that a saris, he does not do chalitza, and they do not do chalitza to his wife. Ve'eli lefaresh, so I don't understand what's going on. I heard from my rabbis that a saris is choletz v'chotzin li'ishto. And then I heard another one that eno choletz eno chotzin li'ishto. So there has to be an explanation, but I just don't know what's the explanation. So Amar Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Akiva, Ani afaresh, I'm going to explain it. Saris adam, somebody that becomes a saris after birth, yeah, choletz v'chotzin li'ishto. Yeah, he comes and he says, so he's allowed to do chalitza, and right? That means basically this is through Maaseh Adam. That's what we're trying to say. That means after Shinolad, whether it's through a human being or whether it's through any other type of a concept. So he's allowed to do chalitza. Why? Because once upon a time, he did have a time that he was not a saris. Meaning the fact that he had a moment that he was not a saris, so therefore he could do chalitza, and they do chalitza to his wife. Saris chama, yeah, obviously, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, saris chama. Somebody that's a saris chama, what does that mean? That from the birth, he was already a saris. So lo choletz velo chotzin lishto. He cannot do chalitza, and they do not do chalitza to his wife. Why? Because he did not have shata kosher. Meaning that if he did not have a time where he was not a saris, so there's nothing what to talk about. This is the shita of Rabbi Akiva to explain the stira that we just had in the Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer says, look, that's not true. El saris chama choletz lechotzin lishto. Right? If he was born that way, we do chalitza. That means he could do chalitza. We do chalitza to his wife. Why? Because since he was born that way, there is a refuah in order to get it out of him. Which means that it says here that it wasn't that there was a gum there. It was a machala that he just has. So therefore, you could actually cure him. So according to Shittat Rabbi Eliezer, he comes and he says, since there's a refuah, you do everything. Sris Adam, it's going to be through a human being, which means that at the beginning he was okay, then an accident happened or something happened, then now he became a saris. Now there's no refuah. Okay, so therefore you have a machloket between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva in both extremes. Capish? One more time, both extremes. Okay? Testified Rabbi Yoshua ben Mitera on a person that he was ben Midusat, that was in Yerushalayim, and he was Sris Adam, which means that he died without children. They did yibum to his wife. Lekayem et divrei Rabbi Akiva, to fulfill the words of Rabbi Akiva. Okay, because again, remember, according to Rabbi Akiva, you still do it because it's Sris Adam, which means Hayalo Shata Kosher. Now it's interesting. In our Mishnah, it says that the saris is choletz v'choltzin lishto or lo choletz v'lo choltzin lishto. What about yibum? So in the Tosfot, in the Tosfot of Dibur Matchili Hachi Yibum Enamit Yabem, he actually says that in Achanami you're right. You could say that he could also do yibum, but the Chagav that you already said Srissadam choletz. We said that choletzin lishto, even though be'emet he could be miyabem as well. Everything could do yibum as well. Okay, fine. Next, the next part of the Mishnah. Hasaris lo choletz velo miyabem. The saris cannot do chalitza, cannot do yibum. Chen ailonit or an ailonit. Remember, an ailonit is the female of this. Okay, lo choletz velo miyabem. She does not do chalitza or yibum. Hasaris shechalat v'limto lo pasala. If right now a saris comes and he does chalitza to his yevama, he does not make her psulat to the kiuna. Remember that a kohen etiot, is not allowed to get married to a grusha v'chalusa. So therefore, if he right now came and he did chalitza to this woman, right? He does not disqualify her from kiuna because it was the chalitza. Be'ala pesala. However, though, if he has relations with her, then he does make her psulat to the kiuna. Why? Because it's considered bilat znut, right? And since it's bilat znut, so therefore it makes her into a zona, and therefore she's put into the kiuna. V'chen ailonit. The same applies to an ailonit. Shechaltu laha achim. That the brothers came and they did chalitza to her. Lo psulua. They didn't make her right psulat to the kiuna. But if be'alua, if they had relations with her psulua, they made her psulat to the kiuna. Because it was bilat znut. Says the Gemara. Gemara says, Ayin Teta Mubet. Gemara Michte. Shamina Rabbi Akiva Dama. We heard that according to Shittat Rabbi Akiva, he says, Chayve Lavin ki Chayve Kritu Dam. What does that mean? Anything of Chayve Lavin are like Chayve Kritut. Remember that according to Shittat Rabbi Akiva, Arayot is not only just Chayve Kritut, it's also Chayve Lavin. That's why it's not going to be, marriages are not going to take place as well. Chayve Kritut, Lavine Chalitza Yibum. Says 1 second, Chayve Kritut, there's no such thing as Yibum the Chalitza. Meaning, one more time, according to Shittat Rabbi Akiva, Chayve Lavin or Bidyuk Otodavar, the exact same thing as Chayve Kritut. So now, if somebody comes to Chayve Kritut and he gives them Yibum Chalitza, is it Yibum Chalitza? Obviously not. If a person goes to what's it called? His sister, his niece, whatever it is. He said it was a chiyuv of karet. You understand? And now he comes and he does yibum to her, does chalitza, he gets married to her. There's no and kiddushin tosim b'chayve kritut. According to Rabbi Akiva, chayve kritut the b'diuk oto davar. It's the exact same thing as chayve lavin. So he comes and he says here, 1 second, if Chayve Lavin are like Chayve Klitut, just like Chayve Klitut, there's no Belech Chalitza V'Yibum, right? Because it says, so the same thing here, it's Chayve Lavin. Because it says, so therefore, if it says that a P'tzua Daka or Klutz Shofcha cannot come B'Kal Hashem, so if it's Chayve Lavin, so therefore, why would it even think about that it would help now? So Amar Rabbi Ami says, his brother was a Saris, and the brother got married to Gioret. Rabbi Kiva Savala, Rabbi Yosef de Amar, Rabbi Kiva holds like Rabbi Yosef that he says, Kal Gerim Lo Yikekal, they're not called the Kal. Therefore, right, they're mutarim to come the Kal Hashem. Right? Why? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to tell me that Kal Gerim are not called the Kal, so therefore, mutarim Psule Kahal. So therefore, a P'tzua Daka get married to a Gioret. So therefore, since this Gioret is mutere P'tzua Daka, she's falling in front of him, it's Yibum. And therefore, according to this case, this is what Rabbi Kiva says, that a Sri Saddam could come and could do Chalitza. So ask the Gemara, you have to, so Yibum them. So do Yibum them. If you already hold you could do Chalitza, so do Yibum. So says the Gemara, in Achanami, you're right, you could do Yibum. The Aidi Damar Yeshua, but since Yeshua says Choletz, Aban Ihu, now means let's also say Choletz. That means really Be'emek, you could also do Yibum. Not only Chalitza, even Yibum. But since Yeshua used the terminology, Chalitza, Choletz, he also said Choletz, but really Be'emek, Yibum is the exact same thing. The Daikanami Ditani, we could also learn this, as we also learned, Eid of Yeshua Bemetera al Ben B'Gusam Shemeshem Sisidam, V'Yibemu et Ishto. Okay, the Akiva. Shemamina, the proof is what we just mentioned at the end of the Mishnah. What do we say at the end of the Mishnah? We just said at the end of the Mishnah that Rabbi Akiva, Lekayem et Divrei Rabbi Akiva, what happened? They went and they did Yibum. Now, if you're going to tell me that it was Dafka, Chalitza, not Yibum, so what do you mean Lekayem Divrei Rabbi Akiva? But rather, this is a proof that according to Shittat Rabbi Akiva, you could also do the Yibum. Okay? So now the Gemara is going to ask on this. Mati Rabba is going to ask on this. Petsua Dakal Klushokha Sri Saddam Be'azaken. Yeah, he says over here like this. There's a Braita. The Braita says that if you have a Petsua Dakal, remember those are the testicles, or Klushokha, the Gidis cut, Sri Saddam, we already said something sterile. Sorry. Thank you. And the Zaken, which means obviously he's very, very old. They do either Chalitza or Yibum. Now, if one of these people died without children, their wives do Chalitza or Yibum. Keitzan, what's the case? Metu, if they died without children, but Yulayim Nashim, and they had women, Velahem Achim, and they have brothers. The brothers come and they do Ma'amad. V'natznu get, they came and they give a get. Or Shechaltzu, they did Chalitza. Masha Asu, whatever they did. V'mba'alu, and if they did Biyah, Kanu, they acquired them. Metu Achim, what happens after the brothers, they died? V'amdu hen, and now these people, the P'tzua Daka, Kusufcha, and all these people, Sri Saddam Zaken, V'asu Ma'amad V'shonoten, V'natznu get, and then they gave a get. Or Chaltzu, and they did Chalitza. Masha Asu, whatever they did. V'mba'alu, now if they did Biyah, Kanu, they acquired them. V'asu L'kaimam, but they're not allowed to stay married to them. Because it says in the Pasuk, and here we're talking about a kahal. So here we're saying, according to Shittat Rabbi Akiva, right? We're coming and we're saying, according to Rabbi Akiva, right? Sri Saddam choletz lecholtzim ishto, and we're talking about that they're considered a kahal, and still they go in front of Yibum, in front of a P'tzua Daka and Klutz Shofcha, right? Which that's what we're just talking about now. So again, we have a question. If according to Rabbi Akiva, Chayve Lavin are patur from Yibum and Chalitza, why do they fall in front of them for Yibum and Chalitza? It's Chayve Lavin. Remember, according to Rabbi Akiva, Chayve Lavin is Bidiyuk Otodavak Mo Chayve Klitut. Just like Chayve Klitut, they never fall in front of Yibum and Chalitza. So to Chayve Lavin, they never fall in front of Yibum and Chalitza. Answers the Gemara. Ela Barada Ramadaba Kegon Shenafla Lo Ulvasov Nifza. He fell in, right? What happened is she fell in front of him before he was a saris. And then he became a saris. Meaning she falls in front of this man. And she's supposed to get married to him. All of a sudden, boom, accident happens, and he becomes a saris. So therefore, that was the case. And therefore, he says, now you have to do chalitza to take out of the zlika, because at the end of the day, when she fell in front of him, he was fitting. So Amaleh, Abaye comes, he says, you have a negative commandment of P'tzua Daka. You have a positive commandment of Yibum. So the negatives push up the positive. Milo Tran, didn't we learn already in Mishnah? Rabbi says, that if the Ktana does miyun, so it's a good miyun, if not, that she has to wait until her older sister becomes older, ותצא לזו משום אחות אישה, and she should go out because of אחות אישה, Alma, so you see from here, Ati Isura Chot Isha V'Dafi, that the Chot Isha comes and it pushes off the positive commandment of Yibum. Hachanam Yisur to here, Neti Yisur Pitzur Daka. The negative commandment of Pitzur Daka should come and should push off the Yibum, which means even though the Zikah comes before the Yisur, the negative commandment should push off the positive commandment of Yibum. Yeah, capish? I think I should turn on there. Yeah, Ela Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef. Yeah, Haitana, this Tana, Hachtana the Rabbi Akiva is the better of Rabbi Akiva. The Amar that he says, when we're talking about now, which means, right, because of Kurba. Remember, She'er means family closeness. So it says, Havi Mamzer. Great, it's just Tam Chayvelavim. Lo Havi Mamzer, it's not going to be considered Mamzer, which means, I guess, even in Shitat Rabbi Akiva, there's a difference between Chayvelavim. If right now, remember one thing, the person comes and he lives with his sister-in-law. He has a child. What's a child? He comes and he lives with the daughter-in-law. What's a child? He lives with his mother-in-law as a child. What's a child? Anything which is chayvek klitut, which is a prohibited relation, the child is a mamzer, chayvek klitut. Yeah? Okay. What about chayvek lam? So now usually, right, we pass in halakha l'maseh, chayvei lavin no. Why? Chayvei lavin is tofsin, right, kiddushin is tofsin, and it's not mamzer. However, though, according to Shlat Rabbi Akiva, right, according to, they become halalim, but they don't know mamzerim, right? According to Rabbi Akiva, chayvei lavin is like chayvei klitut. So now the Gemara says, when does Rabbi Akiva hold this? Rabbi Akiva only holds this by a lo ta'aseh, a negative commandment that has she'er. Meaning, if there's a family closeness, even though it's going to be a negative commandment, then the child will become a mamzer. But if it's a negative commandment without family closeness, then there's no mamzer. That's what he's saying. So there's many times that you're not going to have any type of closeness. That's what he says. That's what we saw before. Except for obviously almanat to kohen gadol. So he says obviously that's because of kurba. So then he says he's going to come and he's going to say that they become halalim. But yes, but not mamzerim. Okay. What? Ikrikan, because it says over here, Ikrikan, we're going to read over here the pasuk la'id la'achim Shem, which means that you're going to establish for the brother name. Barachi over here, he cannot have, because remember, what was the entire purpose of Hebrew? To have a child. Here, if he's sterile, he's not going to have a child. So obviously, what does it help? Then why does Rabbi Akiva say that he does chalitza? He can't have a child anyway. So Amar Rav says, if so, he says it doesn't exist. You know why? Every person, many times it could be that right before he passes away, he becomes a sris chama. Why does he become a sris chama? When the person's already on his deathbed, right? He's already gosses, he becomes a sris chama, right? Automatically, he can't have children, right? He's already almost gone, right? So therefore, he became a sris chama. So he said over here, because of the surim of mita, which they make him weak. So therefore, all the yevamot should become patur. You understand? That means all the yevamot should become patur. Why? Because he became a sris chama. 5 minutes before, obviously not. So says the Gemara, says the answer of Rabbi is actually a good question for Rabbi Eliezer, because for sure the sitrum chama, mechamat mita, there's no refuah, right? Because and still the woman does yibum. So what's the pshat? So obviously you have to say that there had to be a certain time, but there's no refuah here. He's on his deathbed. What refuah is there? Only if he comes back from the dead. But I'm saying that it's not. Right now he's already a sitrum chama. So says the Gemara, no. Hatam tchishuta. He says there by the srisut mechamat mita, it's not the srisut mamash. It's only because that since he's dying, he lost his strength, and therefore, even though there's no refuah, his wife does yibum. But a sris gamur, sorry, that does not have a refuah, she does not do yibum. So says the Gemara, hey, what is the sris chama? Amar Yitzchak bar Yosef says to Yochanan. He says that he was already a saris from the mother's womb. How do we know this? When he's doing his when he's urinating, if it does not go far, meaning it doesn't make like a kippah, meaning that when a person comes, it makes like a rainbow type thing, it makes like a dome. What does that mean? It goes up and then far. Here, it's just like it doesn't go far. So therefore, because of that, that's called tris, right? From the mother's, and that's what the Gemara says, that it's going to be considered a problem. So tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, we continue on the day. Bezrat Hashem.